So obviously spent the last couple years down at Texas A&M coaching the secondary down there, and then right after the bowl game, wife and I went to took the family out to Jamaica just to get away a little bit, and we get back where my wife and I are actually just hanging out with the family, just kind of, after the seasons are long sometimes, you're trying to get back with your family, reconnect and everything, and Coach Nolan was the initial phone call to me. And it was really through coaching colleagues. Had asked me what my initial interest was in putting the staff together here in Dallas, and I was on a plane that night. We met the next morning. Well, before I got on the plane.
From Jamaica?
No, from College Station. I had actually been back in College Station, but it was the night that we had all the storms up here in Dallas. So I'm in College Station. I'm supposed to fly up here tonight. I've done that flight probably 40 times from recruiting purposes, flying from College Station up to Dallas. Well, this is the one night that we have all the storms up here. I'm on the airplane for 3 hours on the tarmac. So we don't move anywhere. We can't go anywhere. I'm going texting back and forth with Coach Nolan. He's trying to get me up here. We're waiting on the runway. I'm like, this is the Dallas Cowboys. I'm about to walk up here. So the plane doesn't take off. So we're waiting on the airplane. We finally get in the sky, and the captain comes on and says, hey, we gotta divert down to Brownsville to go around the storms. Well, I'm from Texas, so I know where Brownsville is. Well, this lady gets her phone, and she says, we're going to Mexico? and we circle around the storms. We finally land in Dallas. I get here about midnight. I meet with Coach Nolan and Coach Mike the next morning. Pretty extensive interview process, very thorough. Personalities, I think, meshed really well and fit what they were looking for, and was offered the job that day. Called my wife and told her we're moving to Dallas.
Obviously, you're busy with college, but how much did you really catch the Cowboys and see these guys throughout?
Yeah, well, I just football in general. You're always just watching, whether it's high school, college, NFL. Your eyes are always watching football. You kind of just you submerge yourself in it, especially throughout the season. Whether it was a high school recruiting game or in the SEC, our opponents that we had throughout the SEC, and then usually our Sundays were our days after our Saturday games, where the pro games were coming on, where you're game planning and closing out your last opponent, but you're still watching some of these pro games. So you are watching it, you are seeing it, and spent the whole season just being submerged with football throughout the year.
What do you divide up the responsibilities of you and Al?
It looks right now that I'm going to end up with the safeties and nickels. Al's going to work a little bit more with the corners, but I would say that we're going to spend a lot of time together.
What's your thoughts on Xavier Woods and just kind of what you see from him?
Sure. I don't want to be unfair to anything. We're really in our initial stages of our player evaluations. Obviously, an explosive, athletic player that is very dynamic and make a lot of plays, but we're really in our initial stages of kind of just hammering through all the specifics of every little detail with all our players.
North Mesquite?
I went to the Mesquite High School. The Mesquite High School. So 2001 state champion Mesquite High School. Yeah.
So how special is this? Because Mike obviously has got Dallas ties with his dad. How special is it for you?
Yeah.
To be the hometown team in a sense.
Yeah, definitely. It's just you obviously grew up. I grew up in North Dallas. I moved to Mesquite High School. I went to elementary school in Dallas. I went to high school in Mesquite. Obviously, growing up watching the Cowboys, and when I was younger, you had the guys like Emmett and Irving and all those guys, and just grew up. It was a part of my childhood, and to actually be working here now, being a Dallas Cowboy myself, you just kind of see how life kind of goes in circles a little bit, and just a really exciting opportunity, and we're excited to get started and get ready to go get to work.
What kind of safeties do you like?
Ball hawks, ball players. I mean, guys. I mean, obviously, you want guys that can affect the ball. You want guys that can separate the whether it's a running back or receiver from the ball. You want guys that can go get the ball. I think a lot of defensive football is about attacking the football. It's about your ability to be a ball disruptive player. So I think at all 11 positions, if you're looking at an elite defensive player, you want somebody that can be aggressive to the ball and go make plays on the ball.
You was at A&M. I don't know if the pros was the ultimate goal for you, but when this opportunity came, were you like,
no, I mean,
or was that the
no, I mean, I don't know if I put it in a goal, so to speak. I just put it more in you want to be the best you that you can possibly be. And I know if you just keep your head down and you work your butt off and continue to have a great product and be consistent with your work ethic and who you are, that opportunities are going to come along. So I think one thing I really pride myself on is always being prepared for an opportunity, not trying to get ready for an opportunity, but just have yourself prepared for whatever that opportunity is. So it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was a shock. It's just something that, things are going to come along in a good light when you prepare yourself the right way and you're consistent with what you do.
You miss recruiting?
You know what? I actually enjoyed the relationships, man. I did. It's time consuming in college, especially in the SEC West. The recruiting's a big piece of it. But, some of those relationships that you establish with the kid and the family and the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, the grandma, grandpa. I got a kiss on the cheek from a grandma this past year. I got everything from great lasagna to pasta to tacos. I mean, you get a little bit of everything in recruiting, and you get some of the curveballs in there too. So, but it's a part of it. It's a part of the college job and it's a part of the experience. So something I actually enjoyed myself though.
This Cowboys team statistically has been at the bottom end of interceptions for seasons past. What kind of challenge? How do you kind of come in and address that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's something that we talk about. What I just talked about with Calvin is just in terms of I think everything begins with a mental approach. Everything begins with an emphasis and a mental approach, and what's our mindset? What's going to be ultimately we're in the initial stages of forming what our identity is going to be and who we're going to be, and that's going to, and really your identity is tied with who you consistently are and what you consistently do. Obviously the ball is something that's going to be of great emphasis as we build this entire package and as we build our entire scheme. In order for us to do what we came here to do, a big piece of that is going to be our ability to be disruptive at the point of attack and getting the ball back. So it's something that we're going to not only make an emphasis, but you have to drill. It has to consume you. You have to be obsessed with it. So that's going to be a big piece of how we build our unit on the back end. I did. Well, I was the corners and nickels coach, and then Dono was the actual safety. But we had, worked with him. Yes, did work with him. Dono came up here and saw him. We got a chance to say hi to him. Gave me a big old bear hug, and it was good to see him again. I love that kid. He's a good person.
Day one with these young players, how do you deliver your message? How do you introduce yourself? What's your mantra?
Sure.
Who you are?
I think when you look at player-coach relationship, it begins with ultimate trust. Trust is built over consistency and time. You can be a great player, I could be a great coach. If we don't trust each other, nothing else matters. So you have to have that trust, and then you have to have your mental approach. You have to build your fundamentals. You have to have the scheme intact. You have to be great technicians. You want to make sure our football IQ is where it needs to be. A smarter player is always a better player, and then you want to be disruptive at the point of attack. Ultimately, what you're trying to get players to do is make immediate right decisions. How can I go play fast? How can I go make an immediate right decision and play with confidence? And confidence comes through knowledge, and confidence comes through demonstrated ability. When I know I can do it and I have the requisite knowledge that I need to have, and I know that I have that trust and that bond with the guys in that locker room, with the coaching staff, you usually end up with a really good product on the football field. Nothing's guaranteed in football, but that's our approach and that's how we want to build it.
Just stepping in here, but what kind of reaction did you get from family and friends when the word came down that you would join this coaching staff?
Yeah, I took the phone and put it to the side a little bit. I called my wife, and I let her kind of just really, text and calls, and there were countless and endless, obviously, just because of my family experience growing up in the Metroplex. I think I got 30-something first cousins around here. I got 3 brothers and a sister. So I have an extensive family growing up in the Metroplex. So obviously that piece of it, to the extended families, it was an exciting time. But ultimately, when I look at it as a coach, I don't look at it any different than when I was 24 years old and I was coaching the secondary at Valdosta State University. You want to be prepared. You want to prepare yourself the best way you can. You want to make sure you go on the football field. You know what you're doing. You're expert at what you do. You coach with great enthusiasm, great passion, great knowledge. You build the trust that you need with those players. And then you go out there and perform and have a great product on the football field. And I think that if I was coaching in middle school, if I was coaching for the Dallas Cowboys, the jobs are not the same, but the approach in terms of how you want to handle it are very similar, because ultimately you want to just be elite at what you do.
Understanding middle schools like this, though, are there? Not many middle schools like
no, not at all. There's nothing. No, not at all. This obviously the Dallas Cowboys. It's a special place, and we know that, and my family knows that, and we're extremely excited to be here. We just want to make sure that that ultimately we're here to go accomplish great things.
Obviously.
Thank you. I appreciate it.